We've never done this before, so I think it's live. We'll find out. I don't know how to do a live Facebook stream. I've never done a live Facebook stream before.
Okay.
So
well,
just
welcome people.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if anybody's online, welcome. This is our. We don't know what we're doing. We've only been doing the podcast for a couple of months now, and I thought it'd be fun to do just a live Q&A session on Facebook. It's just kind of a look behind the scenes, how everything works, how the fudge is packed.
The fudge is packed. Wow.
No, that's not the right. All right, let's.
We can't edit that, Ruben. This is live.
Well, we haven't even started the podcast yet. This is that will be recorded, but
That's awesome.
I love it.
Bill, you want to kick off the podcast with our
Welcome everybody.
intro?
You're listening to Structure Talk, a presentation brought to you by Structure Tech. If you can see here, we're Structure Tech. My name is Bill Ulrich. I'm sitting alongside Tessa Murray, building science guru, and across the table from me is Ruben Saltzman. If he spoke right now, you'd be able to see him.
Hey, that's
And
me.
Ruben is the owner of Structure Tech. We call him the savant. There isn't anything he
You're
doesn't
making that
know
up.
No.
about home inspections. So if you have questions, bring them on. But we have two to begin with, right?
Yeah, I think we do.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Did
let's
someone send these in on
You're-
Facebook?
Yeah, they did. And Tess, you're kind of hiding behind your microphone. You should
That
come in
wasn't
a
me.
little bit.
I'm sorry. I
'Cause-
don't know how to position myself here. Maybe
do you
like
want
this?
do you want my dark
that better?
glasses, Tessa?
Yeah, here.
I was
No.
thinking about
It's your sunglasses.
sorry, I just made a noise.
This better? I just kind of turned it sideways.
I think
Okay.
so. Yeah,
All
the
right.
camera's finding you now.
All right.
So, well, we had invited people to type in with any questions they have about home improvement or home inspections or anything like that. Right away, we got a couple, and I thought maybe we'll get some more that people type in while we're talking here, while the show's going on. We'll kind of do this live.
Cool.
And if we don't have any others, we've got a lot of other stuff to just talk about. So
You've
well-
never been short on words.
stop. It's true. It's true. I can go on and on. I really try to shut my mouth and let other people get a word in edgewise sometimes.
How many
So-
blogs do you have now? Have you counted how many blogs you have?
It's
total?
no, I haven't counted. It's just kind of a math thing. It's like I've been doing it for about 11 years now,
Mhm.
and it's one a week.
So that's over, well, probably like 600, 500.
It's a little over 6, maybe close to
Wow.
700, I think now. Yeah, and now for this podcast, I couldn't figure out how to really distribute the podcast, so it's basically done as blog posts. So now we're doing 2 blog posts a week, essentially.
Oh, okay.
One traditional blog post, and then on Mondays we also have the podcast. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
doubling it now.
All right,
We're
let's get to
doubling
the
down.
question.
All right, all
Let
right.
You guys
Sorry,
geek
Bill.
out on something.
Yeah, we're almost at time for a break. We haven't
Yeah.
gotten anywhere. Reminds me of when I'm doing the radio show with those guys and all around. We always spend the first segment talking about nothing, and then we're like, all right, let's get into some content here. All right, so the first question, this is from, I didn't get permission to say the person's name.
Well, then
Do I
don't-
say it?
Don't.
Okay, then I won't. Well, this is from somebody. Number one, it says, is it safe to say that we as home inspectors really cannot make the buyer or seller do anything, but only make them aware? Tess, I'm going to throw this over to you.
As a home inspector, they're wondering if they can make the buyer or seller do anything?
That's right.
Yeah. No, I am not aware of a home inspector being able to make either a buyer or a seller do anything.
Yeah.
Short answer.
Yeah, we have zero authority. All we can do is make recommendations.
Yes.
We just are there to discuss the facts of the building on the day we do the inspection.
Yeah.
Nothing more. We're neutral parties in this process, right? We're hired by a client, the people who hire us,
Mhm.
they ask us to tell them all about the
Mhm.
house, but that's kind of where it ends. I mean, once they're done reading our report and they have all the facts that we have collected,
Mhm.
it's time for them to get with their agent and huddle up and decide what's important to them.
Mhm.
We're just
Yeah.
aggregating information and providing a document for them to sort through.
I think the best advice we can give to the either if you're probably you're working with the buyer is just, hey, there is no such thing as a perfect house. We're going to find a long list of things, and we'll create this report that you can go through with your agent, and your agent can help you figure out what you do with this information.
See, I thought you would say the best advice to give to a home buyer would seal your attic bypasses, add more insulation.
Well, it's after that. I mean, that's implied, right, Tess?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
After you've done all of your home energy
Yes.
improvements.
There we go.
And you know, it's on that topic. I mean, just for home talk, so many homes having their inspection report. It's something that we used to have reports too, I think, was that we would begin every sentence with "I recommend." And at some point we just went, what are we doing? These are all recommendations. Knock it off. Just say what to do. Instead of saying, I recommend cleaning the dryer duct, just say, clean the dryer duct. You know, it makes it a lot easier because that's what it comes down to. It's all a recommendation.
Now there could be an exception, right? Like if you're talking about like a truth and sale housing inspection or something that's required by a municipality or city, there might be some required repairs. But if you're just talking about a home inspection, like what we do at Structure Tech, no, there's nothing that has to be fixed.
Yeah, that's right.
If you want to make a lot of enemies really quickly, recommend that people do things.
Yeah, like this chimney's falling apart. This has to be fixed, and the seller needs to fix this for you.
Tell them they have to.
Yeah, tell them what to do, and you'll
Make
quickly
enemies
learn
go
that
fast.
people don't like you.
Yeah. Let's see. All right. Question number 2 here was how to report basement bedroom windows that are too small or high off the ground. What would we say about that as home inspectors? And then a follow-up question to that was, will appraisers make people change them? So let's start with the first one. How do we report basement bedroom windows that are too small or too high off the ground?
You just tell them what they have.
All right, go for it. So this is a bedroom that we're inspecting right now.
Okay.
We've got a window that's way up here.
Okay.
There's a bed set up here. It's a 3-bedroom house. There's 2 on the first floor. There's this one down in the basement.
Yeah.
You're here with the person buying the house. What are you going to say?
Well, what I would just let them know is, technically speaking, this isn't a bedroom because of the size of that window. So if this house price is based on 5 bedrooms and this is one of the 5, well, it's not technically accurate, but you already know that because you and your agent have probably already talked about that. But just so you know, this doesn't meet current standards. And if it was to meet current standards, it would be this size and it would be this far off of the floor, and that's all. It would have a ladder and so on and so forth. But this looks great. There's nothing wrong here. It's just not up to current standards.
It's not a bed. Don't use it as a sleeping room.
I wouldn't even say don't use it as a sleeping room.
Really?
No. Why?
That's what I say.
It's their choice what they want to do with it.
That's a safety issue.
Fine. I grew up living in a bedroom that had a window that size, and nobody ever stopped me from sleeping in there. So people can do whatever they want with the space they have in their house. It doesn't meet the standards. So then if you're paying for that, I would just discuss it with your agent and figure out is this house worth what they say it's worth when this isn't necessarily what it's claimed to be.
Yeah.
To me, that's where the discussion is, not necessarily whether it's safe.
When I'm going through and inspecting a house, if they're using it as a bedroom or claiming it's a bedroom, as long as that window is big enough that someone could either escape if there's a fire, or firefighter could get in, or rescue people could get in, I don't make a big deal about it, even if it's not up to current egress standards, which is a huge window. And if the window is within 44 inches of the floor, whatever, it's okay if it's not 5.7 square feet of openable area. But if it's super tiny and it's high up the ceiling, how is someone going to get out? You know? So that's a safety issue in my mind.
I understand. So Ruben, explain what the requirements are.
Oh man, there's a CE class that I teach to real estate agents, and I always I have some of these diagrams on the screen, and I go into it a little bit, but I kind of preface it by saying, don't remember any of this stuff. This is all really unimportant because you don't need to know these specifics. These specifics are what you need today if you're building a new home. And it is a huge window. I mean, the current requirement for egress.
Yeah.
We say egress, but it's not really even egress. It's the emergency escape and rescue opening. That's the current term for
That's
it
the
now.
language in the code?
Yeah,
Mhm.
Okay.
yeah. We've changed the code now, and it's a
Sounds
big
like you were in
window.
on that conversation. We changed the code.
Yeah.
Love it.
We, as in Minnesota.
Okay.
And it's going to be a big window. It's going to be 2 feet high is the minimum height.
Openable area.
Openable area. Thank you. Yes. And then you also need, like you said, 5.7 square feet of openable area. So if you've got a double hung window and it only opens 2 feet high, well, to get to 5.7 square feet, that's got to be almost 3 feet wide. I mean, that is a crazy large window. I'm looking at the windows that were in the room we're in now. Well, these actually might. These are crazy large windows. These might meet egress requirements. But what the important thing here is, as home inspectors, we're not going to be measuring that. I mean, we're going to take a look at the window and say, is someone going to be able to get out? Yes. Great.
Yeah.
We're done.
These are not code inspections.
Exactly. Thank you, Tess.
Okay, so for anybody who's listening or watching, typically what we would do is wrap this up and then head off into a break and shut it down for a few minutes.
Well, we're going to record this too. We are going to do a traditional podcast, so let's go into break like we would.
You've been listening to Structure Talk, a Structure Tech presentation. When we come back, we're going to get into more details about that egress window.
Sweet. And so for anybody online, oh boy, there's a lot of comments. I didn't.
Catch us up.
Well, we'll get on. We're going to take a longer pause here,
Okay.
just because of all these comments.
The owl's still on, though,
Larry
right?
has something to add.
The owl's still
I
on.
can put that Facebook on there, but it'll take me a few minutes. I have it here. I'm watching you guys
Oh,
on my second screen.
oh,
Oh,
really?
cool! Oh my gosh, this is too awesome. All right, I love it.
It's,
And,
it's a little confusing though, because it's a delay,
Oh, sure, you shouldn't be listening.
Oh, that is
Yeah.
confusing.
and it's
Well, it's only confusing you, Larry, because you have it in your ears, right?
You're listening to it.
no, I can see me, and it switches. I mean, it switches from you to him to him.
Oh, because there's a little delay with the owl. It takes a second to zoom in on the person who's talking.
Yeah. So
Yes.
we were talking techie stuff before, and Ruben's got this owl camera that knows where the sound is coming from, and the camera turns to the person who's speaking. And it's a really effective tool that we use for our meetings because we have a lot of people who do offsite meetings, but we've found that it's hard to have a conversation when the person talking is not on the video stream.
Yeah.
So,
But the other side of it is though, it's like TV, so you always have to be at your best. So no, none of that.
Yes, yeah. I can't
I
pick
mean,
my
it's
nose
very-
on this. It kind of sucks.
Stop
Okay.
picking your nose. Bill.
No, wait, before we go back, just real quick, for anybody online, we should just introduce Larry
We
real quick,
should.
because Larry's the one who makes this
Isn't he
magic
awesome?
happen.
Yeah.
Larry, say hi to the camera, would you? You're just saying
Yeah.
hi to this. so you're not-
Hi to the camera.
Yeah, there we go. So Larry's company is City Sites Podcast Network, and we flub stuff up, and
yeah.
we lots of ums and all that, and Larry just cuts all of that out.
He makes it
and-
sound good.
Yeah, he makes it sound professionally produced. It sounds a little better than somebody doing it with like a mobile phone in their basement. Yeah. He takes it to
Little
the
better
next
than that,
level.
yeah.
Yeah, just a little.
Just a little
Just a
better.
little. Yeah. I get so many compliments on this podcast, mostly from my mom, but still. No, he really does.
Hey,
All right,
happy belated birthday, Patty.
that's right. It was her birthday yesterday.
I hope you told her
Tess.
happy birthday.
I did. We
saw that on
celebrated.
Facebook.
Yes. All right. So, Bill, you want to bring us back in, and then I've got a couple questions, and we'll kind of read off what we got here.
Awesome.
welcome back, everybody. You're listening to Structure Talk, a Structure Tech presentation. I'm Bill Ulrich, alongside Tessa Murray, building science guru, and building inspector savant, Ruben Saltzman. And so, Ruben, we've got some feedback online. What do you got for us?
All right. First question. This one comes from Trigby. Hi, Ruben. Longtime follower. I got a reel of weather tape at Home Depot over the weekend. Does that stuff actually help with drafts? Tessa, I'm going to turn this over to you.
Well, I have to Google weather tape because I mean, is that a sticky thing like weather stripping that you put on?
I honestly don't know what
I don't
weather
know
tape
either.
is.
Did he send a picture of it?
No. Now, Trig, if you're there,
Okay,
if
I'm
you're
gonna
still
Google
listening,
it. We'll come
shoot
back
us
to
a
that.
link.
Yeah.
We'll come back to that.
I'm gonna
We'll keep
Google it right
reading.
now. What's it called again?
Weather tape.
Okay.
Something we got at Home Depot called weather tape.
Trig, I can tell you right now, the building scientist is not on board with this. You're putting a Band-Aid on an artery that's been severed.
You know what? It looks like it. Yeah, it looks like it's just a sticky 3M transparent weather sealing tape that can be used on windows and doors. So,
Well, no,
Everything.
hold on. If it's a double hung window, that's
They
a
get-
leaky
they
double
get
hung,
pretty
and a lot of them
drafty.
get really
You
drafty.
do. Yeah, I mean, you could use that if you've got a window like what Ruben's describing. If it's, I don't know, the 3M plastic works really well to
It
put
does.
over top of a window. I'd say that's probably a better approach to stopping that draft. But really, you're only feeling that cold air leaking in around a window because your hot air is leaking out somewhere else. We talked about this in our but which podcast?
No,
was
you
this?
taught on that.
Oh,
Tessa is going to
okay.
be teaching at Inspection World, ASHI's national conference. You'll be teaching
Yeah.
down in, where is it being held?
New Orleans.
Yeah, Tessa's going to be teaching in New
Yes.
Orleans, but she did a
New Orleans.
demonstration
Yeah.
class for our chapter.
Yeah.
That's where you talked about
Okay,
this.
so just a brief refresher. Heat rises, and so in the wintertime when it's cold outside and warm in your house, all that warm air is rising and trying to leak out of the building envelope. A lot of houses have attic bypasses, places where that warm air can leak around, electrical penetrations in the ceiling, plumbing vents, attic access panels, and leave the house. And as that air leaves the house, new air gets pulled in and sucked in lower where it's negative pressure. So it's going to be pulling in air around leaky windows and other leaks and cracks. And so if you seal up those attic bypasses, it's going to reduce the amount of air leakage that you feel around your windows.
Mm-hmm.
So you can put, 3M plastic over your old windows. That might help a little bit, but really if you do some attic air sealing, that's probably going to have a bigger impact.
So your answer is maybe.
It's always going to be maybe with building science
It
questions.
depends.
It depends.
No, that's
it
your-
depends
yeah.
and it maybe.
That's
Yeah,
your best
yeah, yeah.
answer. It depends.
It depends.
I love that.
There you go, Pat Hellman.
All right.
Yeah.
This one's from Trigby again. He just had them loaded up, I think. I love you, Trigby. Thank you. This one says, what's the strangest thing you found in a home? And I can say his name. That's good because I already did.
Thanks for the permission. Vic.
Yeah. So what's the strangest thing we found in a home?
Oh man, lots of strange things. It's weird. People know that there's going to be an inspector coming over their house, and there's going to be buyers in their house. You'd think that they would pick up their intimate clothing items. They don't.
Yes.
Just
yes.
all
The
over
unmentionables.
place. Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
all over the place, and just that's a little awkward.
I
But
love
no.
1800s language.
Yes.
I think one of the weirdest things I found, and there's a picture of this on our website, was a baby doll face down in a sump basket in a crawl space that I had to crawl through to get to.
Oh, that was also the creepiest thing
Very
you ever
creepy.
found, I think.
Yeah, very creepy. I'll think about this for a second.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some other weird things.
Well, on that topic, I mean, just weird stuff I've seen is, seeing hooks in random places, like hooks that you would bolt to on the floor and on the ceiling. And I remember this one realtor, the buyer was there saying, why are these bolts in the floor? And I remember the realtor said, well, the woman was about 60 years old, the realtor. She's very proper. She said, well, different people have different lifestyles. That's
You mean
very
like the
good.
locks that they put on the inside of a bedroom door, like a lock in the
Just like
hallway to lock?
an eye hook that you would
Oh,
fasten something to.
huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bill, how about you?
I was lucky. I don't have anything that would knock anybody off of their chair. I was asked this question one time, and I came up with this mouse story where I crawled through an attic, and I was literally on my back, and I looked up, and there was this dead mouse looking at me, and it freaked me out. But I've been really lucky. Yeah,
I've been
the
this close
most-
to touching a bat before. That
Yeah,
was scary.
I don't like bats either.
Yeah,
But no,
a live bat.
I just look past these weird objects, but everybody on our team has found weird dolls. They've found weird things that you'd find at, stores that you have to be of a certain age to go into. I mean, apparently I live a clean life and these things don't find me.
You know what? Actually,
That's it, Bill. That's it. All right. You're cut off.
I did have, this was not actually working at Structure Tech. This was working at Cocoon. I had a house I was doing a blower door infrared test on, and there was a pile of porn magazines stacked up in the closet. When I opened the door, they all fell out.
So then somebody walks in after you, and you're just buried in a pile of porn. It's awesome. Tess, get back to work.
Oh, man. Yeah,
So,
it's like, oh.
I have so many questions about that. Now, why were you just in the closet doing a blower door test?
No, you gotta scan all of the ceiling and all the walls, exterior walls, for areas where there's air leaking in, so that you know where to do the air sealing.
All right.
So in order to access the ceiling, in all these spaces, you open up doors, scan the ceiling.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So under normal conditions, we'd say right now, you've been listening to Structure Talk. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to answer the next question that somebody posted on.
I can't wait. All right. Break. All right. Should we just get right into it?
Yeah.
All right.
Welcome back. You're listening to Structure Talk, a Structure Tech presentation. I'm Bill Ulrich, alongside my host, Tessa Murray, and Ruben Saltzman. That's how it
Heyo.
works. You gotta talk, Ruben, if you want to wave. The owl
Well,
doesn't
I
see
said
you.
heyo.
Oh, okay.
The owl has to zoom in on you.
I think the owl works by motion too. I
Does
think
it?
because it was picking up the microphone earlier.
Okay.
This is good pod,
Yeah,
by the way.
Larry's
We're gonna have to
testing it
do
out.
some editing. Larry's like,
I'm testing it.
Let's see if
Okay.
it zooms in on him.
all right, maybe it doesn't. Okay, next question. This one comes from, maybe I shouldn't say names. Okay,
Yeah.
This one comes from somebody on Facebook, and it says, this might be silly, but I see this so much. Breaker box over or very close to washer and dryer. Is this legal? Maybe allowed, but dumb?
Mhm.
What's the deal? What's the clearance requirements? Tess?
That's a great question. You need to have 3 feet of clearance in front, right? So having a washer in front of it. Now that's not a permanently installed appliance though. So
Yeah, I think it's still, it
You-
doesn't matter if it's permanently
Okay.
installed or not, you still need it.
yeah. There's a lot of houses where the washer is located or dryer right in front of the main panel.
Must not be a big deal because I just got a new panel put in and it's right next to the washer and the inspector didn't.
No, wait, right next to or behind?
Well, it's
Like above it?
next to.
Okay, so you can have it next to. What you need is 3 feet of clearance directly in front of your electrical panel.
Got that.
And so you can have your washer right up to the edge of the electrical panel.
Okay.
And you're fine, as long as you have a 30-inch working space.
Got
And
it.
we're not talking about 15 inches on center where the panel needs to be in the center of that working space. It's just 30 inches wherever you want to have it. So you can have that 30 inches start on one side of the panel, on the other side of the panel, whatever. So 3 feet in front, 30-inch working space. That's the requirement. And from a home inspection perspective, we don't make a big deal about this when we see it. I mean, we let people know technically you're supposed to have 3 feet of clearance. This doesn't allow that, but that's kind of where we leave it. I mean, we're not going to say, hey,
Move
Getting
your
like-
relocate all your appliances out of the way.
yeah,
Well, but
exactly.
you should go on the inspector forum sometime and watch the guys melt down about this.
Yes.
And everybody's like, whoa.
Yeah, you get a lot of that, but
Mhm.
not us. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
why?
more after like the big stuff.
There's
know
a
what?
reason that thing is there.
Yeah.
And there's a reason the washer's where it's at because it couldn't go anywhere else.
Mhm.
So if you're going to bring it up, you better have a solution
No.
for it.
Ruben, do you actually like lean over the washing machine if you have to like take off the panel cover? Do you get a stool to reach it?
Yes,
You do.
yes.
You get a stool.
Or get on top of it, whatever. Yeah.
Is that okay? I mean, because now you're sitting on a metal object. I mean, it
As
just
opposed to
you're
standing on
talking
the
about-
ground.
no, I mean, if by chance you were to get, electrocuted or there was a spark or something,
Mhm.
now you don't have your rubber shoes and your sole breaking up that current and that ground path. Now you're sitting on a metal object. You're going to be electrocuted a lot easier if you're sitting.
Yeah,
on a
I've
metal
never
object.
been shocked opening up an electrical
It could
panel.
happen though.
It could happen when you're
happen.
testing an outlet. It could happen
Yeah.
when you're touching metal ductwork on a furnace. Somebody on our team had that happen to him. I mean, just inspecting a house, he reached up to touch metal ductwork and it had come in contact with an electrical wire. That's the exact same shock you're going to get if you touch a live wire inside of an electrical panel. It's still 120 volts. People get this idea that because they're bigger wires, you're going to get a bigger shock. I mean, it's still 120 volts going
So
through.
you're not concerned about sitting on a metal object taking off a panel cover? Like that's like
Not
whatever.
not any more
No.
than I would be standing on the concrete floor, which has
Okay.
really
It
good
should be
contact with the
grounded
earth too.
in theory.
It should
right?
be, but I mean, if there was a wire that was nicked by a screw and you're taking the screw out, and all of a sudden you get
It'd
No?
all be the same in my book.
okay, all right.
So when we were remodeling our kitchen, we took out the old dishwasher and there was a valve there, and it must not have been tightened down very, very tight, and there wasn't a cap. So we in the deconstruction, demo phase, we took that all apart, didn't put a cap on. The valve opened up and water started spraying onto the electrical service panel.
Oh,
Wonderful.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh my Lord, life is coming to an end right now. And I get out a towel and I'm trying to dry off the service panel.
Yeah.
And guess what I felt? I started feeling tingling. And
Oh
I'm like,
my gosh.
not such a great idea to be putting all of this. It freaked me out. And asked.
Did you have to replace the panel or?
Well, it's gone now. So,
Okay.
Awesome.
Glad you're still here.
but that
Oh.
tingling that didn't send any
Mhm.
confidence down my spine.
No.
All right, we got some more questions here. We got this one comes from Larry. I don't know who this is. We got this question says, when you have an older house, what are the requirements for venting new appliances of a furnace and a water heater? Tess, I'm throwing this to you.
Oh.
Go for it.
It depends.
Oh, I knew you were going to say that. All right, next question. Go.
It depends on the type of system, right? And each manufacturer is going to have their own specifications for what type of venting requirements. But,
In code defers to the manufacturer's
Yes.
specifications. Is that true on almost a always basis?
Yes and no. I mean, yes, it does, but a lot of manufacturers are going to say that it needs to be vented to code. They kind of point at each other.
Mhm.
And manufacturers are going to get pretty specific on the venting requirements when it's a category 4 appliance. And to
Nerd-
make it,
turn the nerd
I
speaker,
will,
okay.
I will. Category 4 is just a type of appliance where it's going to condense. It's going to create a ton of moisture because it's more efficient.
Okay.
And we basically use a plumbing drain to get the exhaust gases out of the house. That's what you have on all these newer high efficiency furnaces, high efficiency water heaters. You see white PVC
Mhm.
coming out the side of the house. For that type of appliance, the manufacturer is going to be really specific. They're going to say how many elbows, how long it is, how to connect the joints, how to terminate it.
Mhm.
Now, for the other type of appliance, what's called a category 1, where it vents through gravity up and out of the house, the manufacturers usually aren't too particular about that. They don't give you a lot of direction. They say follow code requirements.
But don't they talk about the size of the venting that's
No.
required for their appliance?
No, that's going to come out of the code. And you turn to the fuel gas codes, and there's like a 1/4 inch thick worth of paper in the fuel gas code with venting tables telling you exactly how to vent all this stuff. So
Same thing goes for like induced draft or like 80% efficient like furnace too. Right.
those are all
Yeah.
covered by the code.
All those tables.
So
Okay, so I want to go in the weeds here, because recently we are starting to see these, what would be natural draft appliances being vented out the sidewall, not with PVC, but with something that looks a lot like B-vent, double-walled exhaust or venting pipe. So what category does that fall into?
well, that's going to be very unusual. There's a couple of different ways to do that. Number one would be a category 3 appliance, which is rare.
Okay.
This is a device that does not create condensation, but the vent is under positive pressure.
That's
It
what
doesn't
yeah.
vent through gravity. It actually has a fan pushing that stuff out. Now, for category 3 venting, the current code requirement is that whole vent assembly needs to be completely airtight. You can't allow any gas to exhaust. And when you go to the store and you stop by Menards, and you look at their category 3 vent material, one little section, like a 3-foot section, is going to be like $50. And I'm not exaggerating. I mean, it is hideously expensive. So it is legal to do that, but it needs to be a category 3 appliance, all category 3 venting.
Okay.
So we're talking a rare bird. I see very little of this. What you will see more of is people trying to do that kind of thing with a normal appliance, like a category 1 appliance, and they totally screw it up. You'll see a lot more of that.
So are you looking at the data tag on the appliance at that point to see if it's listed as a category 3 or category 1?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right.
You know what? Just back to Larry's question though, like what's the right way of doing it? Kind of another, just taking a step back, looking at the bigger perspective. You know, older heating appliances were a lot less efficient, and we talk about this in our old homes class that we teach to real estate agents. But you know, the old heating appliances, old boilers, old furnaces, a lot of the heat, available heat, went up through the chimney. They weren't very efficient. It's like 50% AFUE, 60% efficient. 40 to 50% of that heat went up the chimney. And if you've got a hot chimney, it's a happy chimney because you don't have corrosion. Well, condensation on the inside of that chimney. If it's cold, you'll get condensation, and in that condensation, you know, you've got corrosive flue gases. So that can eat away the inside of the chimney. So as we evolved into, you know, higher efficiency heating appliances, a lot less heat was going up the chimney. It was being used to heat the house. And so now we've got colder chimneys. So how do we fix that solution with condensation and all of that? We put in a liner inside that chimney to reduce the size of the opening. So just depending on what you've already got, you know, in the chimney, what type of, you know, appliance you have, it's going to need a different diameter flue. So if you have, you know, a water heater and a boiler both venting up the chimney, you've got 2 appliances creating that heat, you're going to need a bigger flue. If you take away the water heater now and take away the boiler and you just have a water heater, it's going to need a much smaller diameter flue in order to draft properly.
And those are called what?
Orphaned water heaters. When you take away when you upgrade your furnace, but you leave your old natural draft water heater, it can cause it to backdraft. So, you know.
How do you make a cold chimney hot? I mean, is it just simply, you know,
reducing the diameter of that? Yeah, by reducing the diameter of that opening, by putting in a liner, you can make that chimney smaller and easier to heat and less.
That's no joke though.
Give it
When
a
you're,
hug.
give it a
Yeah,
hug.
give it a
You're
hug.
orphan a hug.
Yeah.
So you mentioned something there,
Oh, annual fuel utilization efficiency, AFUE.
Such a nerd. No.
Okay, so that
It's just a way of kind of rating how efficient a gas appliance is.
okay, so let's go deeper in the weeds.
Do people really want us to though? Should we move on?
we should wrap this up. This is like a marathon episode. We're shooting for 20 minutes.
Okay.
Well, I thought we were going till top of the hour.
Oh,
No,
do we have a lot more questions?
we're only planning on 20 minutes.
Does Melinda have any more questions?
Melinda? No. There's nothing we really need to dig into here. I do have another question here. It's
Yeah.
Scott says, Bill's voice is soothing. Is he an employee of Structure Tech? Or
As a
did
matter
you
of
hire
fact, I
him
am.
from NPR?
Stop. Yeah.
Bill, don't you have a brother in radio?
I do have a brother in radio. That is correct.
Yes.
My brother does the morning show at Cool 108. He's a trained professional. Used to be on Care 11 TV. He was he was the anchorman in Rochester. He's been all over the place.
Wow.
So yeah.
He better watch his back because you got chops, Bill.
I was gonna say,
He doesn't have to worry about me.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to worry about me. I do have a question though. Happy hot chimneys.
Yeah.
How much moisture goes up a 50% chimney? And just thinking of unintended consequences, you take that really inefficient unit and you replace it with an efficient unit, and suddenly you have like moisture all over your windows. Is that something as a building scientist you would see on a regular basis? Where people make changes without adding another level of protection, like adding another exhaust fan or something.
Yeah, definitely. That can be a big problem when you're taking an older, boiler, or when you're taking an old furnace and you're putting in a high efficiency furnace. That's different though, because a new high efficiency furnace, it's drawing in air from the intake. Usually it's a separate pipe that goes to the outside, so it's drawing air directly for combustion from the exterior, taking it to the unit, using it for combustion. The exhaust gas is going out through a separate vent terminal. So it's not using air from the house for combustion anymore. So you're not having that air change that you used to have.
Okay.
So your house, all the air in the house, all the warm, humid, moist, stinky air, whatever, is going to stay in the house. It's not being used for combustion. You're not having those air changes.
Okay, and I have one more question for Tessa's. Do I have time for this?
Wait, no, you've got, we're way past time, but you go right ahead.
Okay, all right.
We
All
can
right.
cut this out.
So this is going to be great, but move your hand or something so the owl's looking at you when I say this. So we were on vacation this last week, a week ago, with some friends of ours, and one of the friends owns a newer home out in the suburbs, and she was saying that her clothes weren't drying, and so her dad came over and he's like, "Oh, I can fix that," and what he did is just do this. He disconnected the dryer duct.
I knew you were going to say that.
Put a pantyhose sleeve over it.
Oh, yeah.
And for the last 10 years, it's been venting
Into the house.
in a new house. And I was like, OMG, we need to figure out why that wasn't working right, because you could be causing some serious problems in your house if you. So building
Yeah.
scientists,
It doesn't
did
take a
Dad
building
get the
scientist.
thumbs up
No,
approval on
no.
this?
Well, good try, Dad, but really, I mean, now you've got. Is it a gas dryer too?
Good question. I'm going to find out. That's my weekend project.
Well, all the byproducts of combustion venting into your house and all the moisture from doing laundry.
Okay, I'm going to plead ignorance.
Yeah.
Do the combustion byproducts of a gas dryer go out
The
the?
dryer vent.
They do?
Yes.
I did not know
Yeah,
that.
so if you've got a gas dryer venting into your house, it's like having a gas appliance venting into your house, which we actually do. If you've got a gas oven or gas stove, they vent into your house, but that's
We'll
not
have to cut that out in post, Bill.
Oh, hey, listen,
Yeah,
I'm
no,
happy to be.
yeah, but
we can
definitely
all learn
not
together.
not ideal to have your dryer and all that moisture venting into your house.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, she was very worried after I brought this up, and I
Yeah.
said, not a big deal. Don't worry. What, 10 years?
Oh man,
That's not that much moisture.
She probably has a clogged vent terminal on the exterior with lint.
I think it's
probably-
that Broen thing, because it never opened from day one, where they get sealed down.
Yeah,
It-
the weather stripping sticks on that damper.
Yeah, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure, so I'm going to crawl up on the roof and do that.
That's nice
So.
of you.
Well, everybody, you've been listening to Structure Talk, a Structure Tech presentation. I'm Bill Ulrich alongside Tessa Murray and Ruben Saltzman. And thank you very much for joining in this Facebook Live version of the Structure Tech podcast. We'll catch you next time.
Sweet. That's
Awesome.
it. Good
Very
job.
nice.
I think it worked out just fine.
Oh, I think it was fun. I don't know how to edit this though. You'll have to, should I just,
Well,
should I just edit it to a 20-minute?
you edited whatever you
Well, I
think
don't know.
seems
I don't
good.
know how to, because there's a lot of interaction here. So
I would just let it go long, Larry.
just let it go on.
And
Okay,
Yeah.
who cares?
That's fine.
Yeah.
Well, it's up to you guys. I don't care.
Yeah.
Did you end the live
All right.
stream?
I'm about to end the live stream right
Okay.
now. I thought I'd just kind of
Bye, for viewers.
include the wrap up. Thank you, anybody who tuned in. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. And this podcast episode will air in like a month or so, right?
Okay.
Yeah, we're about a month out.
Something
Are
like
we?
that.
All right. Yeah, I think so.
I thought it was fun. I was surprised.